Okay, so now that we've learned about the elements of art, we have already done, we did our value last week. We did the paper, different colors of different values of brown. We did texture because we were creating a texture on our paper. We did color because we used the color brown. We used some yellow. So now we're going to draw our lion using different lines and shapes. So you will have a yellow piece of paper today to practice on, and make sure that it is hot dog style, not hamburger. You want it hot dog because the lion is actually going to be really long. We want to make sure we get his whole mane in here. That's one of the things that makes a lion look like a lion, is this big mane that goes around his head. Okay, so the very first thing we're going to do, Miss Rucker always likes to start from the center of her paper and work out if I am going to draw something. I like to start in the center and move out. So the very first thing I'm going to do is, I think that this nose is probably in the center of the paper, so I'm going to start with this nose. You also want to pretend that you are making a mask, a lion mask. Otherwise, you're going to give me a lion that is this big. So you want to make sure that you exaggerate those shapes and those sizes. You want it big. You want the whole lion head to take up the whole paper. So I'm going to start with the nose, and I'm going to make a nose in about the center of the paper. And what I'm going to do is, that nose is a triangle, an upside down triangle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a pretty big V, pretty big wide V, but I'm not going to come straight across. I'm actually going to round it off, which is going to give it form. It's going to give it more of a three-dimensional look, like the lion's nose is rounded. The next shape that I see in the lion is this little upside down U. I call it an upside down rainbow. We're going to put his little nose. This is the top or the bridge of his nose. Okay. Now, lions, cats have what's called a muzzle. We're going to actually create this muzzle right here around the right to the nose. We're going to actually connect it right to the nose. Now, a lion's face is symmetrical, so just remember, whatever we are doing to one side of the lion's face, we have to do to the other side of the lion's face. It has to be the same. That is symmetry or symmetrical. So we're going to go ahead and do the muzzle. We're just going to go to the bottom of the triangle. We're going to go to about here, and we're just going to wrap it around. And we're going to connect it to the end of that nose. Again, we're just going to do the same exact thing. You want them about the same size. All right, now we're going to actually do the lion's chin. Before I move up to the eyes, because those are going to be the most important things. So before I move up to the eyes, I'm going to go ahead and finish it off in the center of the paper by creating his chin. And if you notice, it's almost like a square, and he's actually got some texture, some little fur, some little zigzag lines coming off of his little beard. This is his little chin. So what we're going to do is we're going to come down, and we're just going to do some little zigzag lines, just like that. Now we've created a lion's chin. It don't have to be perfect. We're going to make his little hairs right down there at the bottom of his chin. All right, now before I do his face, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do his eyes. And if you notice, his eyes are like right here, diagonal from the bridge of his nose. So I am going to start out with you also notice that his eyes are almost slanted up. So I'm going to start out with I want to leave room for his mane, so I don't want to go too high up. I'm going to come to the side of this bridge of the nose, and I'm going to slant this eye out. Now, this is going to be the main feature or characteristic of this lion, so you really want to take your time on these eyes and really make sure they're symmetrical. Okay, now I'm just going to do a little half moon right under it and connect it. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on this side. If you really want a cat, if you are creating a cat's eyes, I always like to add this little, I will actually come up a little higher and come down and color that dark. They're almost pointy. The cat's eyes almost kind of go up in a point. They're almond shaped, pointy. All right, now we're going to do that iris. And we want this we want these irises big because this is what's going to really, really pop out when we do those two different values of green in the lion's eyes. It's just going to make it look so realistic. All right, so I'm going to do a little curved line here. I'm going to come as close as I can to the corner here. And I'm going to go as close as I can to the corner here because I want his irises. That's the color part of the eye. I want them pretty big. All right, now I'm going to do a pupil. Now, this is the black part of the eye, and if you really want it to look realistic, leave a spot white. Leave a reflective light in that eye where the light is reflecting off. Okay, perfect. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and create that face. And if you notice the lion's face, we're going to go up. It's almost like a bump. His eyebrow bone kind of goes out around that eye. So I am going to come to about here, halfway up the muzzle. And I'm going to, and you can kind of curve it a little, and make sure that you come out around the eyes. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I come here, and when I get to the eye, I'm going to bump it out. Okay? Just like that. Now, I want some fur up here, so I'm going to have some little zigzag lines here for the top of his his mane will go behind that, but I just want that to look like it's some fur up there on top of his head. All right, now we're going to add his ears, and his ears are actually right here on the bump. So we're just going to do that. We're going to put a little fold in that ear. We're going to come over here on the bump. We're going to do a little ear. You don't want it too big. Okay. Now, we're going to go ahead and add some eyebrows here before we do the mane. All right. Maybe some little eyelashes on the ends of the eye. Just a little bit on the very ends. If you really look at something's eyelashes, you really only see them on the very corners of the eyes. All right, now, this is what makes a lion look like a lion. We are actually going to create this mane, and this mane is actually behind the lion's ears. So what we're going to do is we're just going to do some zigzag lines, but we're going to do them at an angle because it's actually going to angle this way, and we're going to angle it back in. It's actually going to come to a V at the bottom. So we're simply going to make some zigzag lines. Now see, I actually made his head really up high. So next time I might want to bring his eyes down a little lower so that I can have the mane a little higher. Okay, now I'm going to make sure that mane is behind the ears. Okay, and I'm just going to do some little zigzags. Now I'm going to come and I'm going to zigzag right, I'm going to slant. It's almost little slanted lines. And again, I'm going to zigzag and slant. Voila. Now I am going to add some detail. So I'm just going to add some little curved lines in here. Make it look like lion fur. Maybe some curves here. You don't want too many. Just kind of randomly place some curves. We're going to put two curves, one on each side here. We're going to on the little beard to make it look like it's got some folds. And then we're going to add a couple down here. Okay, so when you color this, we will be coloring that nose black. Everything else will be traced in black, and then we will be coloring these eyes next week. These eyes will be colored 2 values of green. That's going to really make them pop out, and I will show you this next week when we do our real deal. But it's really going to make those eyes really pop out. So that's it. We're going to practice him one more time on the other side. So whatever mistakes you made, you can fix it on the other side. We're going to practice him one more time. And next week, we will practice him one more time and then do our real deal on our beautiful brown piece of paper that we painted. Okay, let's have fun.